Look at this, folks. Have a look at it. The power plant is a great little tool. You know, we've got one from Ryset as well. It's a smaller version of this, but I need the big one here, the big auger, which is what, 60 centimeters in length. Makes it so much easier to break up the soil. It doesn't take it out for you, but it loosens it up. So, you know, if you need to dig a hole in hard soil, get yourself an auger bit like this. Makes the job much easier for everyone. Like to put a bit of straw at the bottom, so as it breaks down it starts to feed the microbes. And what have I got here? I've got some wood ash, I've got some blood and bone, and I've got black grit with the old label, but the new label's got the black or charcoal colour, so don't get confused when you see it on the shelves. I've got some composted soil with a bit of manure mixed in, and I've got pea straw. So I'm just going to put a bit of soil on top of the existing soil here, like that. Because I'm going to use some of the existing soil, because if you don't use the existing soil and you put fresh soil, you know, it might be a lot more loose, more, you know, better drainage. And if you've got really hard compacted soil, for those who've got clay in the garden beds, you'll find that if you just dig a hole and put fresh soil in it, like potty mix too, sometimes people use potty mix, it becomes like a well and all the water's drawn into it. It doesn't actually drain away because the density around the surrounding where the existing soil is a lot more. It's a lot firmer, a lot more dense than what the soil is, so the moisture sits in it, doesn't actually drain away. And you know how I said to soak your trees overnight, which is fine for one day, but if they're sitting there more than a day, 2 days or 3 more, they can start to rot and starts to ferment, and that's where you get anaerobic development, and that's when the tree or plant starts to go backwards. So you need to make sure that you got the same texture or close enough to the existing texture in the hole as you have in the surrounding, and all you're trying to do is enhance the microbes in there, you know, the organic matter that you have. So fresh composted soil, wood ash, a little bit of wood ash over the top of this. Now this is a little bit hydrophobic, so don't put too much, and that's great for flowering plants and fruiting plants because it enhances the ability to fruit and flower for you. That's a natural potash. Our black grit, which is our calcium magnesium, silicate, which really balances the nutrients in the soil. It's in the soil amendment, and some blood and bone as well. Nice mixture there. And I just, you know, I measure it like I measure my recipes when I cook. I don't actually taste the soil, but if it looks pretty good, I reckon it tastes pretty well too. Just mix it through like that. Now you can put your straw through that as well, but because it isn't chopped up, it's really hard to mix that through the soil. So that's why I put some at the bottom. If you've got a chopped up one, if you get one of those compressed bales that it's been milled and hammer milled down to 20 mil, 30 mil pieces, great, you can blend that through. If you've got Yuki mulch, that's excellent too, or even some bark. But in this case here, I'm using pea straw, and because it's stringy, it won't blend that easily. So where's my tree? Here it is. All that liquid gold seaweed solution is going to do it so much good, stop it from going into shock. Now, look at that. We've got long feeder roots out there growing out everywhere. You know, I can sort of dig out the soil and put it around there, but I'm just going to push it in there. I'm not too fussed. These trees are pretty tough. If it was a delicate tree, even like an almond or a persimmon tree, I'd take a lot more care as far as the roots are concerned. Well, I shouldn't say that. I should do the same for all trees, but you know, I know the plane tree and how tough they are, and you saw how big the roots are already. So that'll be okay there like that. Now, because it's bare rooted, there was no soil already. See what I've just done there? I've just pushed the soil back in over it, but what's the first thing that crosses your mind? Air pockets. So what we need to do is shake the tree a little bit, ever so slightly, so the soil falls through into all the gaps. There we are. See how it's compacted a bit? It's sunken a bit, and that's because it's starting to fill out all the air pockets in between the roots. It's all good to put the soil on top and stamp on it. What you're doing is compressing the soil and flattening the roots. You actually want to fill in the gaps between the roots. All the fibrous roots, they need to be separated, but by stepping on them like this, initially, it's a no-no. So now we just drag the rest of the soil over it. Now, if you want to, you can mound it up, but you don't want it to a peak like that, like a pyramid, because if it does rain, the water's just going to run down the side. So you need to have a flat top where the water will sit, like a little well, and then it can taper out. So I haven't dug a hole big enough or wide enough to do that. So I'm just going to mound it up ever so lightly, not too much. So that's the existing soil, weeds and all. Yeah, folks, I've given up the fight with weeds. Look at that. Have a look at that. they just grow anyway. So I'm just going to top dress it like that with a bit more composted soil. And before I put my mulch on top, give it another burst with the watering can of Liquid Gold and Eco Boost. The black grit's in there already. And we'll monitor the progress on this tree in springtime and see how fast it grows. Now let's compare notes. We're going to be using our liquid fertilizers as regularly as we need to, making sure we've got the mulch on top. And obviously we're going to tie this up left and right, north and south, or east and west, with the stakes on either side if we get high winds and we get them out here. And more importantly, Christian's gone for a walkabout. If I bring him back here and leave him here overnight, he's going to destroy this tree. I won't even recognise it in the morning, so we've got to fence it off too. Put a nice wide berth on this so he can't get into it and destroy it, because he'll nail on this and just sort of sharpen his teeth off. All right, we've done one, we'll do the other one. You apply your Liquid Gold and Eco Boost before you put your mulch on. Hydrophobic bloody soil. Apply your Liquid Gold and Eco Boost before you put your mulch on to make sure it soaks in well into where the roots are. And then we top dress it with mulch and give that a burst too. So when you're planting your deciduous trees in the garden, make sure you prepare the hole properly, and don't forget your Liquid Gold and Eco Boost. From me, Vasily, Maresi.